All right, let's dive into this explainer and tackle a massive question. Why on earth are humans so obsessed with this one specific soft yellow metal? Picture this. Over 4 billion years ago, amidst violent volcanic eruptions and massive meteorite impacts, gold was literally baking deep underground in the Earth's crust. But how in the world did we get from those raw, steaming mountains to the complex global financial system we have today? Today, we are tracing the ultimate hero's journey of gold. We'll kick things off with the dawn of the Golden Age, move right into empires built on gold, explore the global gold rush, unpack meaning, myth, and religion, and finally look at the cold hard numbers in the price of gold. Section 1. Dawn of the Golden Age. So here's something absolutely wild. Despite gold's incredibly ancient history, a massive 75% of all the accounted for gold in the world was actually mined just since 1910. Yeah, no kidding. And it gets even crazier. 2/3 of it has been pulled out of the ground just since 1950. But, our relationship with gold started way before the heavy industrial mining operations we see today. Imagine prehistoric humans around 40,000 BC finding natural gold inside Paleolithic Spanish caves. Fast forward to 4600 BC, and we've got the oldest known gold artifacts showing up in Bulgaria. And by 1900 BC, we're seeing the very first written references to gold popping up in ancient Egypt. Speaking of ancient Egypt, King Tushratta of the Mitanni once claimed that gold there was literally more plentiful than dirt. Can you imagine? Ancient Egypt and Nubia were absolute powerhouses for producing this stuff. In fact, they even created the Turin-Papyrus map. It's one of the oldest geological maps in existence, detailing the precise layout of a Nubian gold mine. Moving on to Section 2. Empires built on gold. Now, you might think you can never have too much wealth, right? Well, an overwhelming influx of gold can actually totally wreck an economy. Take Mansa Musa, the ruler of the Mali Empire. When he made his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca back in 1324, his camel train was carrying so much gold and he gave away so much of it in Cairo that he literally crashed the market. He caused severe inflation that lasted for over a decade. But gold wasn't just a currency for spending, it was a total obsession of the mind. Throughout the Middle Ages, alchemists were completely focused on this quest to produce gold from base metals like lead, hunting for this mythical philosopher's stone. And sure, they absolutely failed to magically conjure gold out of thin air. But guess what? That exact obsession and all their systematic experiments actually laid the foundational bedrock for the modern chemistry we use today. All right, Section 3, the global gold rush. When European explorers started arriving in the Americas, they ran headfirst into a massive cultural disconnect. You had the Aztecs, who displayed gold everywhere, viewing it as this highly divine substance. They literally called it god excrement. But then you look at the indigenous peoples of North America, and to them, gold was practically useless. They placed way more value on minerals that had actual utility, things like flint, slate, or obsidian that they could use to make practical tools. And you really can't talk about European exploration without mentioning the ultimate obsession, El Dorado. Now, here's the kicker. It didn't even start as a lost city. El Dorado originally just referred to a mythical tribal chief of the Muisca people in Colombia, who supposedly covered himself in gold dust. But as human greed took over, the legend just kept growing. It morphed from a single man to a lost city, then to a kingdom, and finally into an entire golden empire that Europeans spent generations desperately hunting for. But we absolutely have to confront the dark reality of this era, because the human cost was just staggering. In colonial Brazil alone, they extracted an estimated 800 to 1,000 tons of gold, and this was entirely built on the backs of brutal enslaved labor, all while the Portuguese crown enforced their heavy quinto tax. Over in West Africa, European explorers literally just dubbed the whole region the Gold Coast. The powerful Ashanti Empire controlled that trade for centuries, which eventually culminated in the bloody Anglo-Ashanti Wars and British annexation. Which brings us to Section 4, Meaning, Myth, and Religion. It is truly fascinating how, across completely different faiths, gold is universally used to represent the absolute highest divine principles, but is also used as a stark warning. Take the book of Exodus. Gold is a symbol of profound evil with the idolatrous golden calf. But at the exact same time, it represents supreme holiness when Moses is told to cover the Ark of the Covenant in pure gold. We see it in Byzantine art with golden halos on saints. In Islam, it's traditionally forbidden for men to wear, symbolizing humility. although history shows us some empires bent that rule. And the ancient Greeks, they went as far as having a dedicated goddess Thea just to preside over gold. This brings us to a pretty startling quote from Christopher Columbus that perfectly captures how explorers completely blurred the lines between earthly greed and spiritual salvation. He genuinely believed that hoarding this metal on Earth was somehow a ticket to paradise, that it could literally help purchase a soul's way into the afterlife. And honestly, that deep reverence translates brilliantly into our secular world right now. Have you ever wondered why Olympic medals, the Nobel Prize, and Oscars are all handed out in gold? It's because it remains our ultimate cultural benchmark for excellence. We live by the golden rule. We celebrate golden 50th wedding anniversaries because the metal physically doesn't tarnish with time. And we still warn our kids about the corrupting power of greed through fables like Rumpelstiltskin spinning hay into gold. Finally, let's hit Section 5, the price of gold. Let's look at the cold, hard numbers that define gold's value today. For a really long time, the global economy had a firm baseline thanks to the historic gold standard. Prior to 1934, the US dollar was rigidly pegged to gold, with 1 troy ounce strictly fixed at exactly $20.67. But let's look at how those numbers shifted. In 1934, the US devalued the dollar to $35 an ounce. Then, boom, 1971 hits. We get the Nixon shock, which completely ended the gold standard. Once it was unpegged, the price absolutely exploded. We're talking $850 by the 1980 market high, surging past $1,900 after the 2011 financial crisis, and topping $2,060 during the 2020 pandemic. Whenever global crisis hit, gold becomes the ultimate safe haven asset. So where does all this leave us today? Well, global demand nearly perfectly matches the immense supply we've dug up. A massive chunk of this is locked away by institutions. For instance, the New York Federal Reserve Vault holds about 3% of all the known gold on planet Earth. But it's not just sitting around gathering dust. It's absolutely crucial for our modern lives, heavily utilized in electronics, computer chips, and life-saving medical equipment. So after 40,000 years, why does this soft yellow metal still rule the modern world? From the raw beauty of ancient Spanish caves to the high-speed servers of digital stock exchanges, gold's journey is truly the ultimate mirror of human ambition, innovation, and, yes, greed. The real question is, what exactly is it going to reflect next? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.